play it all or nothing. Yeah, need it all in advance. The opposition know we're ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind all the muscle, pull up. Poker right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Nothing holding me back. 3 in the wood, rushing. I don't like Dutch, don't even matter, you know I'm a face. And when I roll a paper, I like to go double. Run up a check, flip a W, make it an M. I need a couple.
Welcome to Takeover from the crib. And we are back with another one. I know y'all are watching these playoffs. That guy to the left, Josh, how's it going?
Well, Cam, it's been so disappointing to watch my basketball team win games and play good basketball and defeat the process and get to the Eastern Conference Finals in like half the time it took them, even though they had multiple number 1 overall picks and we never picked higher than 5. But what can I say, man? It's tough to understand.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm ready to start this episode as much as I can say. So
we'll start it off with the playoffs. We are down to 4 teams. In the Eastern Conference, we got the Hawks and the Bucks. In the West, we got the Suns and the Clippers. All right, y'all. Who's going to the finals?
So, all right, I'm gonna take the most simpler one, I guess, to explain. So I'm gonna go with Milwaukee versus Atlanta first. So I'm going with the Milwaukee Bucks to win this series for the simple fact that I think Atlanta's defense is going to be exposed. When you look at their defense, they were the 21st in defensive rating, and they don't have a lot of elite level defenders. And when you look at this series against the 76ers, you really didn't have to admit that to the defensive side of the ball, just for the simple fact that you have people like Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle who weren't really offensive threats to begin with, and they struggled to guard Seth Curry. That's one thing I noticed in the series versus Philly. And I just think when it comes to their defense, the guards and Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, I believe they're going to be able to score against them. When you have Drew Holiday, who's a career high 3-point shooter as of this year, and you have Chris Middleton, who could drop 30 on you at any given time. And I believe in order for the Hawks to win, Trae Young has to be the guy, and he has to he's going to have to be a floor general, as he's been for the last couple of series, and he's going to have to create for the players around him. So I believe their offense may struggle against a defense like the Milwaukee Bucks, and I believe Trae is going to be heavily targeted. Drew Holiday, and you have PJ Tucker, who can really force turnovers, and they can get points in transition as well. And you have Giannis and Lopez on the interior, and I really I can't think of anybody that can really handle Giannis on Atlanta's side. And, Giannis has averaged 29 points in this playoff, so I don't see why he can't average 30 or 35 in this series. And, I just don't believe you can play a team like the Nets. And although Kyrie was injured and James Harden was hobbled, there was still Kevin Durant. So I don't believe you can get over the hump of the Nets, because that was basically what we were talking about this entire time, Milwaukee versus the Nets. Like, can they beat them? And now that you got over the hump, I feel like you can't go out to Atlanta. No disrespect to Atlanta, because obviously they've proved to us that they've come very far, but you can't go out to Atlanta. That's for the Milwaukee versus Atlanta. So for Phoenix versus the Los Angeles Clippers, as of right now, Phoenix currently leads the series 2-0. And what we hear about the Clippers, when we hear about them being down 2-0, that they're one of the most dangerous teams when they're down. But when you look at the teams that they've defeated in a 2-0 deficit with the Dallas Mavericks, you have Luka, who obviously he was the main shot creator with the Dallas Mavericks. You have the Utah Jazz, who they are solely dependent on Donovan Mitchell to create for their team. But this is different for the Suns. In my personal opinion, this is different because the Suns team has many players who are capable of creating their own shot. Obviously, you have Devin Booker and Chris Paul. You have Devin Booker, he's averaging 29 points, shooting 50% from the field, 40% from 3. You have Chris Paul, and he's reported to come back game 3 or 4. We know he's a playmaker with his passing ability and his low turnover rate, as well as he's definitely able to create for himself, as we saw in the last series that he had against the Denver Nuggets, where he was able to score 37 points without even shooting a 3. And you look at the supporting cast around them. You have Payne, who showed up in the absence of Chris Paul, and he went 12 for 24 with 0 turnovers. And you have Crowder, Bridges, and Johnson as well. And when you look at the Clippers, I look at them as more so they're most effective when they're running a small ball lineup. But that's not really reliable. I'm not going to say it's not effective and it's not going to work against the Suns, but I don't believe that's going to be really reliable, especially against DeAndre Ayton, because he's a better finisher when it comes to the paint, especially when you look at Boban or Rudy Gobert. I believe he's a better finisher out of those two. And you can't really defend D-Book and Ayton on the pick and roll because you're either going to be giving up the roll itself or you're going to be giving up a mid-range jump shot. And I've said this in past episodes, the mid-range is where the Suns seem to flourish. And if you decide to shy away from the small ball lineup and bring Zubac in, that gives Devin Booker even more room to create as well, because you can really target Zubac, especially when you look at the Dallas Mavericks series. That's exactly what they did. They targeted him a lot. And, the Clippers, in my opinion, they were wishy-washy with Kawhi. And now Kawhi isn't there. So now we have to lean heavily on Paul George. And we also have to rely on Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson, which they've been playing good this series, in the past couple of series. But you're going to have to rely on them to hit shots consistently. And the people around them, you're going to have to rely on them to hit spot-up shots. And I don't know if I feel comfortable putting all my faith in those players to do that consistently. And when you look at the Suns, they have been consistent with or without Chris Paul. They play defense, they're efficient on offense, and they're really well coached. And although with Kawhi, the Clippers may have more talent, I believe that the Suns are a better cohesive unit, and that's why I have them coming out of the West.
So picking off of exactly what Deandra said, on the West, we got the Clippers and the Suns. I'm going to go with the Suns here and kind of keep it short because she went in all the analytics and all the things. But the only reason I'm taking the Suns is because Kawhi's out. If Kawhi's in, this series is totally different. I think Game 1 and Game 2 showed how good, and I don't think how wishy-washy the Clippers actually are. They have role players that play. They have Reggie Jackson that shows up. Marcus Morris shows up. Zubac shows up. Paul George has shown glimpses in the fourth quarter and throughout games that he can really be that guy to go to. But without Kawhi, without having that superstar, this team is really lacking in some situations. And you can really tell because when they need a bucket and can't get it, Kawhi's usually the guy to get it. And you look at Phoenix right now, they're the most balanced team to me that is still in the playoffs. They got the shooters, they got their star, they got their point guard, they got a big man who can control the paint. They basically have everything you need to win a championship. So I think Phoenix is more well-rounded right now, especially with the Clippers lacking a Kawhi Leonard. And I think they'll have their way with the Clippers in this series. But on to the Bucks and Hawks, what Josh really wants to hear. I'm going to go with Milwaukee for the simple case of I don't know who's going to guard Giannis in this series. When you look at what Giannis can do and how the Bucks offense is structured, you have Brook Lopez on the outside and you have everyone and you have all these shooters surrounding him. You look at a defender like John Collins, I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold someone of Giannis' stature, especially since he probably won't have a help of a Clint Capella because Giannis can still kick it out to guys like Brook Lopez. And you look at this team defensively, the whole entire Milwaukee starting five are all two ways in a sense. You got Drew Holiday, you got Chris Middleton, you could throw PJ Tucker in there, you still got Giannis, Brook Lopez, they got shot blockers. And I think Trae Young is we're about to see how physical this Hawks team and Trae Young can really be because you saw in glimpses of that Brooklyn series, they were letting PJ Tucker get really physical with guys like Kevin Durant, and it was a real physical series. I don't know if the Hawks are going to be physical enough to hang with a team like Milwaukee. And I think Deandra was right when they're going to go at Trae Young because if you're Drew Holiday, why not go at Trae Young? If you can put him in pick and roll situations, why not let that be the guy? And I feel like there's a lot of mismatches. If you were a Hawks fan, you honestly should have been going for the Brooklyn Nets because I feel like they would have had a better chance versus them. But you look at the size of Milwaukee, the way they play, and how aggressive this team is, I feel like it's a walking mismatch for the Hawks, and they're going to end up struggling. And as far as the Hawks going to the plan of building a wall versus Giannis to stop him, I feel like every time there's been a wall built, it's because of bigger size players. Like you have a Bam Adebayo, you had a Kawhi Leonard, you had guys who could take Giannis at least one-on-one, or when they get him into the paint, he's running into a body. I don't know if the Hawks have the bodies to do that. And I feel like this is where they really miss guys like DeAndre Hunter. And so since they don't have guys like that, I feel like Giannis is going to be put in a lot of one-on-one situations versus John Collins. And it's going to be a field day. And I wore this in and out shirt for a reason. Because I do think this series will be short and the Hawks will be in and out.
I want to check your facts and check who you're talking about here, Cam, because this is the team that I believe everybody thought was going to lose first round to the New York Knicks, and they took care of them in 5. And then they were supposed to get destroyed by Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, the process, this great, great dynasty that they were building up through the draft. And the Hawks won 3 games in Philadelphia, 3, and came back from multiple double-digit deficits. So all I'm saying is I don't think it's as cut and dry as you're saying here, Cam. I don't believe so, because John Collins has shown some things this postseason, one of which is he is willing to compete on defense, and he is willing to box out and rebound with anybody. And Clint Capella has shown he can hold his own in the rim. Now, he cannot guard in space. I'm not going to say that, but he does hold people to about 50% shooting at the rim, which is actually very, very good. I believe it's second in the playoffs right now behind Brook Lopez. So here's where I think the series is going to come down to. I think that you guys are giving so much credence to the Bucks offense and how great Giannis is going to be, how great these guys are. And they are indeed great. You're not giving Trae Young the credit he deserves. How are the Bucks going to guard Trae Young? They got Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday can body him, but what do the Hawks do? They run a lot of pick and rolls. What's going to happen when Drew gets hit with a screen? Who's going to step up to guard Trae then? Brook Lopez ain't going to do it. Brook Lopez is not going to guard nobody in space. Go ahead, Cam. I see you raising your hand. What's up?
So they got the guys named P.J. Tucker. Dante DiVincenzo can guard really well.
Well, Dante DiVincenzo's hurt.
Giannis goes out to the perimeter and guards a lot of guards as well. I mean, this whole team can switch if you want to. Like I said, everyone's a two-way. I
saw Giannis being hidden on Blake Griffin in Game 7 of the Nets game. So I don't know what Bud's doing with him right now, but I'm not worried about that. My point is when Drew Holiday gets hit with the screen, and if they want to switch everything, right, what's going to happen when Brook Lopez gets switched on to Trae Young? Not a lot of good things. I can promise that right now. So maybe it's blind faith. Maybe it's because I'm a fan and I'm insanely biased. Or maybe I'm just going to try to ride the hot hand. I got the Hawks. Coming out the East. Go ahead, D. What's up?
Okay, so you said we're not giving Trae Young enough credit, but my question to you is this. Like I said about the defense, right? Even if, let's just say, okay, Trae Young goes crazy and he scores, what are they going to do to stop Milwaukee from scoring?
Build the wall. We've seen the playbook is out, and they can do it. They have people that can do it. You can put Tony Snell out there. You can put John Collins. You can put Kevin Huerter is one of the best defensive players that nobody knows about. Kevin Huerter gets into it. Cam Reddish is available now, so if they need the defensive boost, they can put Cam Reddish in there. He was averaging about 1.5 to 2 steals when he was healthy. So I'm just saying the options are there. But even then, how are they going to stop the Hawks? That's the big question. And y'all just kind of threw to the side and were like, well, Drew Holiday can guard him. Well, Drew Holiday might be able to guard Trae Young one-on-one. And I would, he's a good defender one-on-one. But Trae doesn't really take people one-on-one and ISO ball all the time. He does pick and rolls. He moves. And I don't think that that's going to help when you're screening people and you got to switch on to Trae. And then as for coming out of the West, y'all summed it up very good. I've got the Phoenix Suns coming out just because, again, I'm riding the hot hand here. They've looked phenomenal this whole postseason. Devin Booker truly is that guy. Chris Paul is one of the all-time greats, and DeAndre Ayton is really starting to justify that number 1 overall pick in 2018. So give me Atlanta Phoenix in the NBA Finals.
I'm gonna let you have that one, buddy. But the matchups really don't favor you guys here.
Sure, the matchup didn't favor us against Philly either, and it sure didn't matter.
I mean, when a guy's playing his meniscus, sure, but there's nothing hurt about Giannis at all. Well, I'm just saying.
He was playing on one knee
tonight. We're gonna find out what you guys are made of tonight. I promise. Okay.
Switching topic now, we're going to stay in the NBA because this is just a basketball type of season. We're going to be talking about the New Orleans Pelicans, who missed the playoffs, but apparently have frustrated their young star, Zion Williamson, as there were rumors and reports coming out that they have not done enough to keep him and his family happy. What are y'all's takes on this situation?
So there's a great poet in Atlanta by the name of Quavius Marshall, also known as Quavo in the streets of Atlanta. His lines go like this: sit back, be patient, ain't nothing but a little bit of straightening. And I feel like this is what's going on with Zion and the rest of those guys. I feel like Zion he wanted the success early, but I feel like there's grinding that goes into it. And the straightening part comes because you have to look at the Hawks, the young team, the young core of the Hawks. It took one coach, it took one movement in management, and the Hawks are in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I feel like as good as a player as he has, as good as a team he has around him, he has Lonzo Ball, he has Brandon Ingram, he has Josh Hart, he has the rest of these guys. They have a great young core. So I feel like he should just be patient and let management do what they need to do. There's a coach that can fix what's going on with the Pelicans. There's a management moves that can be made to help the Pelicans. They have a good young core, and sometimes you gotta lose to learn how to win. So I feel like there has to be a cohesive unit in New Orleans, and I feel like him wanting to rush out of there isn't the best move, because I feel like this team could really be great with the proper coaching and the proper movements.
All right. So I believe that Zion and his family, they have a right to not be happy because of the moves that the Pelicans have made. When you look at, they traded away Drew Holiday and you get Bledsoe, who, in my personal opinion, no disrespect to him, I'm sure he's a nice guy or whatever, but he brings nothing to a basketball team, in my personal opinion. You have Steve Adams, how he's not a bad player, but in my opinion, I believe that Steve Adams just hinders Zion's game. I believe he just gets in the way. And then you have Stan Van Gundy. He wasn't a good fit for the Pelicans. So I believe, yes, they have some things to not be happy about. However, let's also take into consideration that Zion has been injured a lot. Zion has been poorly conditioned, and Zion hasn't had as big of an impact on defense as we thought he would have. But there's nothing wrong with that because he's young and he still has time to grow and get better and get more healthy. And just like there's nothing wrong with Zion having time to grow and getting healthy, there's time for the team to actually grow and get better. And it's not like you go into a season expecting championship aspirations. Zion is a top 10 pick. 9 times out of 10, a top 10 pick is going to go to a bad team that needs rebuilding or that needs work to be able to win a championship. You look at Devin Booker, who's been playing with the Suns since forever, and I was one of them that said, you need to jump ship. You need to leave right now. But now you look at where they are. He has a chance to win a championship. And so if I were the Pelicans, I would try to make better decisions to keep Zion because he has 2 years left on his contract. And of course, he can become a restricted free agent with a qualifying offer. So you want to do things that would make Zion want to stay and would make him happy with the Pelicans. But if I were Zion and his family as well, don't be so quick to give up because it takes time, like Cam said. So
it's like Quavo said, actually.
Like Quavo said.
All right, well, I won't be quoting Fable or taking my take here, but quite simply, I mean, I agree with both of y'all here. I understand kind of why he's upset because obviously David Griffin in the front office hasn't necessarily made the best moves. He's made some good moves, but he's also made some questionable ones. But also Zion hasn't, like he was talking about, you know, he's had injury problems. He's gained like 20 pounds from his college and high school days. So there's some shoulder blame. But really, I'm going to be honest, why are we surprised here? Like, I genuinely was not surprised to find out that he was unhappy because this is just the status quo in the NBA right now. The inmates run the asylum. Every time you draft a player as a front office, he doesn't have to prove himself to you. You have to prove yourself to him. It's now become you have to cater to your superstar no matter what happens. The moment there was a whiff of, well, John Collins and Trae Young might not get along. There was all these rumors of, well, maybe John Collins is going to get moved in because he doesn't get along with Trae Young. You know, the moment that KP and Luka started kind of disagreeing, it was, well, Kristaps Porzingis must be traded. Like, they're probably going to trade him. And then the coach left, the GM left. There's rumors of some other people in the front office being unhappy with Luka. So this is how it is now in the NBA. And I think it's terrible that we're letting a kid that is 2 years into his NBA tenure basically now determine how the Pelicans are going to run their operations. It just doesn't make sense to me because the people in the front office are very qualified. David Griffin is a very good NBA GM. He has made very good moves in the past. He's made good moves for this Pelicans team. So I don't understand why Zion's already unhappy. I feel like y'all were talking about that he seem to expect he was going to come in and immediately win. It's crazy that he thought he was going to win a title in 2 years when he got drafted to the Pelicans, who have never done anything of note. But I guess it's the culture that we live in now, the instant gratification.
I think it's a bit of super team culture too, if you really think about it. Look at what LeBron did in Cleveland, where he just left, made a decision. Now you're a superstar, your number one pick, the one person supposed to save your franchise is gone because you couldn't make him happy. So I feel like that's a huge factor in what's going on with these players as well.
You're always one bad season away from a demanded trade and a package full of first-round picks that you then have to, use wisely.
Most definitely. That is going to end off our episode today. Hawks fan, do you have anything before this game starts?
Just wait. Trade's going to go crazy tonight. Because I don't know why y'all keep doing this. Y'all keep counting the Hawks out. All right, it was 15-3, I think, with ESPN analysts when we played the Knicks. Then it was 14-2 with the Sixers, and now it's like 14-2 with the Bucks. So
the Knicks and the 76ers are not. They're different from the Bucks, right? We can't agree on that.
Y'all criteria. Nah, stop trying to take this. Y'all said the Nets were gonna blow them out. Y'all said the Nets were prohibitive title favorites, and then they lose to the Bucks. And I was like, well, we know the Bucks are just better than the Sixers. I mean, yeah, sure, the Sixers are supposed to beat the Hawks in 4, but clearly the Bucks are different. Come on, you give the Hawks a little credit. This team is built to last. They're very, very, very good. I think y'all got to stop counting them out a little bit. Y'all making it sound like it's easy. It's not going to be easy.
But, Josh, I feel like you guys – look, I'm going to give y'all respect. Y'all are playing great basketball. But I feel like, the last thing I'm going to say about y'all, you guys are definitely, to me, a team of destiny. And with teams of destiny, they always meet reality. I feel like the Bucks will be our reality tonight and for the rest of the series. So we'll find out. We'll find out.
You the hack of Giannis.
He's going to hit more than Ben Simmons. But that's going to end off our episode. Takeover out.
Hey, champ. Yeah. We play it all in night. Yeah. Need it all in advance. The opposition know we're ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind all the muscle, pull up. Parker right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Not that holding me back. 3 in the wood. Rushing. I don't like Dutch, don't even matter, you know I'm facing. When I roll a paper, I like to go double. Run up a check, flip a W, make it an M. I need